The screen reader testing checklist. So next in line after the headings is the interactive elements. So then we talk about buttons and links. So the correct role announced, it should be what it is, right? Whether it's a link or it's a button. So the purpose is clear from the label. Keyboard is it's keyboard accessible, enter space, focus visibility, form fields, label announced before input, make sure of that, required fields are identified, errors associated with fields are not there, they are corrected, instructions available up front. In terms of images and icons, all decorative images should be silent, right? There should be no alt text, it should not even announce image. And more, if the images are informative, then they have to have long descriptive alt text. If it's a table, if it's a graph, you have to tell about all of those elements. Then there can be icon buttons, accessible names, etc. If it's a complex interactive element, a longer description is okay. If it is dynamic content, live regions announce updates, loading states communicated, error alerts interrupt appropriately, and save this list and use as your screen reader testing rubric for your every project. This is going to be really helpful. You can screenshot these slides, this one, the previous one, and the one before that. I can also share these slides with you through the portal. So the complete screen reader testing workflow. Phase 1 is automated testing. So you have to run your Axe Dev tools or Wave, check all text, verify headings, identify ARIA, errors. Phase 2, keyboard testing. Must pass before screen reader testing. So tab through the entire page, whether it is accessible through a keyboard interaction or not. Focus indicators visible or not. All elements are reachable or not. Whether there are any traps, is the logical order in place or not. Then you do a screen reader desktop based testing where you are doing your H, your D keys and all of those which we talked about earlier. You can use all of these, NVDA, voiceover, etc. Then move on to your mobile screen reader testing. Use voiceover for Apple and talkback for Android. Identify touch targets and whether they are properly labeled or not, gestures, whether they are being recognized or not. Phase 5 is edge cases, errors and validation, loading state, empty state. All of those are working properly or not, whether they are there or not. So then there is something called ARIA accessibility tree visualization. So we spoke about HTML and CSS. So when we add ARIA to your code, it becomes like a generic button image text. So when student discovers ARIA, so they think that ARIA makes things accessible. I will add it everywhere. So what happens is a well-intentioned disaster. So here what we are doing is we are also adding a HTML role, which is your button. Then we're also adding an external extra ARIA label, right? Then we are also mentioning the screen reader. Then there is ARIA label here also. There is one ARIA label here. There's one ARIA label here. So the screen reader announces this one, button. Then this one, submit button. Then it announces this. Click here. then it announces another ARIA label, submit, then it announces all text, which is your arrow. So for one button, it is announcing so many things because you have added too many ARIA labels. And if you're adding ARIA labels, you can skip the HTML labels. So the user may think which one is what I'm supposed to do, where I'm supposed to go. So the golden rule is no, don't use ARIA labeling if you're not really fully aware about ARIA labeling. Learn the ARIA labeling first and then use. Rule 2 is use native HTML first. Try to make that work. If it doesn't work, then add ARIA label. So here we are saying that the native HTML label of button is enough. When ARIA is needed, when we are adding custom widgets or we are adding dynamic updates, we are adding complex apps, right, with tabs and trees and all of these things. If it's just a button, maybe only a basic set of things is sufficient. When not needed, when we are talking about standard buttons, when we are talking about standard links, use your standard HTML labels, which is your button, your link label A, input and label, all of that. Native ARIA is always going to be better than native HTML is always going to be better than ARIA workarounds. So make sure that you're fully aware of what ARIA does in order to really use it well, and use it in complex situations where you're thinking, and then learn about it before going to use it. Now let us come to forms and why forms are a specific use case altogether, and we have to be very careful, particularly when we are adding accessibility to forms. Why it happens that forms break the accessibility most often. One of the reasons is that the fields may have no signifiers or they are not labeled properly, and it is a critical part of purchases, job applications and account creation. So if I am new to a website, I'm asked to create an account. I am supposed to submit X and Y information about myself. If I want to sign up with your organization, I want to sign up with this portal. Similarly, if I want to apply for a job, I am supposed to fill out a form. These are critical matters. If I want to purchase something, I may be required to add my address, and there may be like 7 different fields in order for us to clearly communicate the address. The 3 essential tests that we should ensure is the label association. So every input must have a programmatic label. Then test is tab to field, is the label announced? Mistake can be using a placeholder text instead of label. Error identification, make sure you test for errors. So errors must be associated with fields. So test is that you submit an invalid form. Are the errors being announced? Is the screen reader able to catch those announcements or not? So you have to test it like that. If it is not happening, then you can use these tips of ARIA labeling. Required field indication. So users must know what is required before submission. So you can test whether all fields are announced as required or must fill, mandatory. So use require attribute or ARIA required as true for those cases. Quick test, can you complete the entire form with your eyes closed? If no, neither can a blind user. So make sure that you are able to deploy these basic tests in order to make sure that the forms which are part of your portal, which are part of your website, become fully accessible. So now let us talk about alt text and what are the different reasons why a screen reader is unable to read the correct labels and how we can as developers fix it. So let's talk about this example image where we are saying there is a golden retriever puppy playing with a ball. So the first attempt is maybe the alt text says image, that is too generic. The second attempt is the alt text says just dog. It is too brief, it is not explaining what is happening. Then it says alt text says golden retriever puppy, 3 months old, fluffy, dot dot dot. All of those things also add too much verbose element which is not required, it's too long. So talk about the context driven approach. So say for example, this image is located on a pet adoption site, right? Then it says golden retriever puppy, 3 months, playful. Because it helps why we are talking about this playfulness, age, and the description of the breed, because it helps adoption decision, the playfulness part, the age part, both of these. Say this image is part of another website which is a different context. It is a blog about dog toys. Now the focus is not on the dog, it is about the toy. So then you say puppy playing with rubber ball. So now we are adding an adjective and a descriptor about the ball as well. Because why? Because here the toy type matters and that the dog is playing with that toy. If it's a testimonial section part, then it can be an empty alt text. Why? Because it's decorative, it's testimonial, it's not informative. Say if it is a link to the gallery, then the alt text says view puppy photos because it describes the destination. If you click on the image, it will take you to a gallery where there are more such photos. So the checklist is that the purpose has to be always over and above description. Context determines content, and try to keep it under 150 characters if it is not too verbose. There's no need for image of prefix. Always use empty alt text for decorative images. Never omit the alt text attribute. Even if it is decorative, always use the empty double quotes. Put the attribute. Okay, this is very important. Now let us talk about the dynamic content and live regions. So screen readers read sequentially, right? We have understood that by now. And dynamic updates sometimes go unnoticed by the users. So in this, which is again now a complex situation, we can make use of ARIA labels for live regions. So these are some of the ways one can use. So if we use the correct ARIA label, then it kind of makes our interface a little more adaptive also. So announce also changes as per the user. So if it is ARIA live, so announces when the user is ideal. Status updates, when the user is idle, then it starts the dynamic content. Status updates, non-critical alerts sometimes, example of 5 items in the cart. If you put ARIA live assertive, it interrupts speech immediately. So you have to make sure that you use this kind of an ARIA label in case of critical alerts. So form submission failed, for example. And if we use ARIA live off, it never announced. So if we, for example, use ARIA live polite, ARIA atomic true, so showing 24 results for accessibility. Here if we say role is alert, password must be at least 8 characters, right? So for example, if we want to show a message which is only shown or only announced when the user is sitting idle, then we can use a polite ARIA label. And if we want it to be assertive and it's an alert, then we can use that it is okay, your password is not eight characters long, you have to change your password. So this is how we can maybe employ ARIA labeling. Now let us come to mobile screen readers, and there are some testing essentials for that as well. So why mobile accessibility also matters is that 60% of the web users are using the websites on mobile, and just testing with desktops misses a lot of users. So two of the most commonly used products are VoiceOver Apple. So how you can enable it, you can go to the settings to accessibility and you just turn on the VoiceOver. What are the key gestures? So swipe right and left to navigate. So there's no tab on the interface, but it's swipe right and left. It is double tap to activate any interactive elements. It is not single click, it is double click. Two finger swipe, right, read from top, rotate two fingers, rotary, rotor menu, headings and links and landmarks, etc. Similarly, if we talk about talkback on Android, how you can enable it is through settings, accessibility and talk. You can just turn on the talkback. Same swipe right and left for navigation. Same double tap to activate. Swipe down right for context menu. Some of the gestures are similar. So one of the again important and critical tests for a mobile interface can be, can users complete forms using only gestures? If mobile phones don't work with screen readers, they don't work at all. So make sure that you test that. So many a times what people get wrong, developers get wrong, is that the first mistake can be watching screens while testing, using visual cues. So when you're testing with screen readers, you are putting yourself in the shoes of a person who's visually impaired or who has low vision. So possibly one of the ways to do that and to mimic that situation is to, when you have your screen reader on, try to turn the screen light, the screen off, so that you are only able to interact through the voiceover, through the audio cues. Either you close your eyes or you turn the monitor off. Mistake 2, only testing success. So testing valid forms only. So in that case, you're missing error handling. So make sure that you test for failures. Make sure you're testing edge cases and you're doing that validation. Mistake 3 is that people do only NVIDIA or the desktop testing. So mobile is never tested, but make sure that you do that. Mistake 4 can be jumping straight to screen reader and skipping the keyboard test that we spoke about. So please make sure that you do the tab test first with the screen reader. If that step itself is not happening successfully, it is most likely it will not go through with the screen reader also. So first try to fix that, otherwise it can appear like a lot of issues at once, and then it may be a problem. Then fifth mistake can be trusting AI alt text, right? So AI is gaining a lot of popularity in terms of generating descriptive alt text. So but the context dependent description that we spoke about in one of the previous slides, that if it is a blog or if it's a pet adoption website, if it is a pet toy website, The description just might change. So that requires a human sensitivity and human understanding, and unfortunately we are not able to achieve that with AI currently. So don't rely entirely on AI generated alt text. So always the correct sequence is that you do the keyboard analysis first, then you do the screen reader with eyes closed or monitor shut off, then you do the mobile screen reader, and then you do the edge cases. There are some tools and resources that might be helpful. So NVIDIA is available on the website called nvaccess.org. VoiceOver and TalkBack are built in the OS. Then there are browser extensions, Axe, DevTools, Wave Tool. Then there are testing aids, NVIDIA Speech Viewer, Chrome Accessibility Tree. There's some learning resources called Web AIM Guides and DQ University, which you can go and access. Keep NVDA and Speech Viewer open just while developing, so that's going to cut short a lot of time in terms of evaluation the later stage. So what should be your action plan in order to learn all of that, or when you are developing? uh, I would like to request that if you are in the process of developing a website, and even if you're not, just try to um, start working on your project and build whatever website, whatever digital product you're building, and then in each week think and work on all of these aspects. So in the first week, you just install NVIDIA or enable your voice over on Mac. You complete the built-in tutorial which is there. You practice on well-made sites. So for example, there is like sites which are very well in line with the WCAG guidelines. So BBC or gov.uk and all of that. Learn the 5 shortcuts, HDFK, tab. Then week 2, you test your project. So run a 5-minute quick test on your site, document all the button image edit issues, fix unlabeled elements first, retest with eyes closed. Week 3, go mobile, move from your desktop to your phone, enable voiceover on iPhone, talkback on Android, test your site's mobile version, focus on forms, navigation, fixed touch targets. Week 4, build the habit. Add screen reader testing to your workflow. Test every new feature before you commit. Create new team testing checklists. Share findings with your team. So the goal is that screen reader testing becomes a second nature and not a checkbox. Accessibility is a skill that you will be able to acquire over time. So why not start today? So thank you for staying with us in this session. I hope you learned a lot. I would request you to kind of go through this process of a 4-week investment where you can kind of nurture your skill set, particularly in terms of screen reader accessibility. As most of the tools are free to use, it's something which you can gain and build over time, but this 4-week action plan can be a good starting point. And of course you can post your questions on the forum, and we'll be happy to help in that regard. So thank you for listening to this session. I'll see you in the next session.